You're listening to old Western stories, where dust settles slow, guns speak loud, and every tale rides straight into your imagination. Hit that subscribe and saddle up, the ride's just startin'. The canyon wasn't on any map worth keeping. Locals called it the Devil's Fold, a place where wind forgot how to move and sunlight bent around the rock like it was afraid to touch what lived beneath. Two riders came down its throat that evening, dust trailing behind like the tail of a bad idea. Their names weren't spoken loud, not here, but the taller one went by Grant. The other, lean and watchful, was Boone. They rode under a false flag, gear scuffed just enough to pass as traders. The lie sat heavy between them, packed tighter than the crates of iron and rope lashed to the wagon bed. "Feels wrong," Boone muttered, eyes on the narrowing trail. "That's how we know we're close," Grant said, voice gravel calm. He didn't look back. Didn't need to. The walls rose higher, swallowing the day in layers of red and gray. Somewhere up ahead, dogs barked sharp, distant, echoing off the stone like judgment on four legs. Boone spat into the dust. "How many you reckon?" "Enough to make this look like suicide," Grant said. "Keep your tongue short and your temper shorter," Boone grunted. "I can play traitor. Just ain't sure I can play man who sells other men." "Then think of it as buying 'em back," Grant said, low. "Only way we get inside." They rode another mile before the canyon opened into a basin choked with shanties and smoke. Fires burned under black pots. Men moved like shadows, lean, armed, hollow-eyed. The smell hit first, sweat, iron, whiskey, fear. Then the sound, chains, soft but steady like rain falling on tin. Boone swallowed. "God help us. Don't call on him here," Grant said. "He left this place a long time ago." A man stepped from the nearest shack, rifle slung loose. His coat was patched, boots polished, face marked with a scar that split his mouth into something too wide to be a smile. "Evenin', boys," he drawled. "You come to trade or pray?" "Trade," Grant said, pulling a folded paper from his coat. "Got goods from Santa Fe. Iron, salt, and rope." The man's eyes flicked over the wagon. "That all, for now. You got names." "Names don't travel well," Grant said, "but we pay fair." The man studied him a beat too long, then nodded toward the largest tent near the canyon wall. "Boss'll want a word. He don't like strangers dealin' without his nod." "Then we best nod back," Grant said, flicking the reins. Boone followed, jaw tight. They passed lines of shacks, each one worse than the last, canvas patched with hide, doors hung crooked. In the half-light, figures moved behind the walls, a cough here, a chain clink there. Boone kept his eyes down, knuckles white on the reins. He'd seen death plenty, but this was slower, uglier. Grant dismounted at the big tent and handed off the reins to a guard with dead eyes. Inside, the air stank of tobacco and stale wine. A table stood center, spread with maps and coins. Behind it sat a man with a silver vest and a Bible open beside his whiskey glass. He looked up slow, smile small. "I heard tell of you too," he said. "Traders from down south, dealin' in hardware and hope." "Which one you sellin' today?" Grant met his gaze without blinking. "Depends on who's buyin'," the man chuckled. "Fair answer. Name's Clegg. This canyon's mine for now." "Grant," he said simply. Boone added, "Boone." Clegg leaned back. "You don't talk much, do you, Boone?" "Talk's cheap," Boone said. "We trade and wait." "So I see." Clegg's eyes flicked to the wagon outside. "Iron, rope, salt, all tools. You know what they build down here, trader?" "A market," Grant said. "That's what we heard." "Smart man." Clegg tapped the Bible with one finger. "We keep order here. Even sin needs rules, but rules cost. You'll pay in coin or service." "Which suits you better?" "Coin," Grant said. "For now." Clegg grinned wider. "Then let's see your wares. If they pass muster, we'll talk about flesh later." Boone stiffened, but Grant's hand brushed his coat, a quiet warning. They stepped back out. The guards were already pulling crates open, checking weight, testing metal. Clegg followed, lighting a cigar. "Quality work," he said. but you could double your profit if you traded what these chains are for. Not my line, Grant said. Everybody's line, friend, Clegg said, smoke curling from his lips. Questions how far you'll cross it. Boone couldn't help himself. Maybe far enough to burn it down. Clegg laughed loud. I like this one. Full of noise. You sure he ain't the boss? He's just my conscience, Grant said. Mostly useless. Keep him that way, Clegg said. Down here, conscience gets a man killed faster than greed. He started to walk away, then turned. We eat at sundown. You're welcome at my fire. Bring your best lie. When he was gone, Boone exhaled hard. Conscience, huh? Better than corpse, Grant said. They moved the wagon near a dry gully, far from the firelight. Boone crouched beside it, checking his revolver. You think the others are still here? If they are, we'll find 'em, Grant said. If not, we make sure no one else ends up in those chains. You talk like we'll live long enough to make that call. We'll live till we don't, Grant said. He glanced at the canyon walls, sheer, dark, closing in. Remember the plan, talk little, listen much. Boone nodded, but his jaw was set. You trust that preacher? Clegg, Grant spat into the dust. He's not a preacher. Just a man who learned how to twist scripture into rope. Night came fast, blue swallowing red. Fires lit the camp in patches. Men laughed, traded, drank. Somewhere deeper in the canyon, a voice sang low, slow, in a language the rock seemed to remember. Boone looked up at the stars vanishing behind the canyon rim. Feels like hell with better scenery. Hell's got better odds, Grant said. They waited until the fire nearest Clegg's tent burned low. Then Grant whispered, now. They slipped into the dark, keeping to the shadows. The canyon floor was uneven, scattered with crates and wagons. They moved toward the far ridge where the holding pen stood, wooden gates bound by chain, guarded by men too drunk to stand straight. The smell hit them first, sweat, sickness, fear. Boone's hand trembled on the latch. Grant stopped him. We can't free 'em yet, he said. Not without a way out. Feels wrong. It is wrong, Grant said. That's why we're here. They turned back toward camp and froze. Clegg stood in the dark, cigar ember glowing. Thought you'd take a walk, he said, but seems you're talkin' liberties instead. Boone's hand twitched near his gun, but Grant lifted a finger slow. We were just lookin' at the stock. That's so, Clegg stepped closer. Funny thing, I don't recall tellin' you where to look. We're traders, Grant said evenly. We look before we buy. Clegg smiled, but his eyes didn't. Then maybe you'll buy yourself a grave. The sound of rifles cocking echoed from the shadows, half a dozen men stepping into view. Boone cursed under his breath. Grant didn't move. You kill us now, he said, you'll lose what we brought and the next buyer's waitin' up north. Maybe, Clegg said. Or maybe I just take it all and send your bones downriver. The air went still. Even the wind stopped listening. Boone's hand hovered. Grant's eyes never left Clegg's. Then far off a sound broke the standoff, a whip crack, sharp as thunder, followed by a scream. Clegg turned his head just enough. Grant moved like a shadow. The butt of his revolver came down hard. Clegg dropped, cigar rolling into the dust. Boone fired once, a warning shot that sent the guards diving. Move, Grant barked. They ran for the wagon, chains clinking behind them, shouts rising like fire. The canyon came alive with sound, dogs, gunfire, echoes twisting through the stone. Boone hauled the reins free. Grant jumped aboard, grabbing the crate lid where their rifles waited. You said no guns, Boone shouted. Changed my mind, Grant said. Drive, the wagon lurched, wheels biting mud. Behind them, Clegg's voice rose, ragged and furious. You can't save what don't want savin'. Grant fired twice over his shoulder. Maybe not, he said, but we can damn sure try. The canyon swallowed their noise, the echoes trailing long. And somewhere ahead, past the curve where the rock met the night, a single lantern burned, small, steady, waiting. The canyon didn't let go easy. Sound bounced from wall to wall, turning one gunshot into 20, one scream into a storm. Grant and Boone tore through the dark, wagon rattling over stones, mules half-mad with fear. The firelight behind them blurred into a smear of red that clung to the air like blood memory. "Where?" Boone shouted over the clatter. "Anywhere that ain't here," Grant barked. The wagon jumped a rut, throwing them both hard against the boards. A lantern shattered, spilling light across the mud, brief and ghostly. The canyon narrowed ahead, too tight for the wagon. "We'll have to leave it," Grant said. Boone yanked the reins, breath sharp. "All that cover gone. It's dead weight now." They jumped, hitting the ground rough, rolling through gravel that scraped and bit. The wagon crashed into the rocks ahead and split like a coffin splitting open. Iron and rope spilled out, clanging in the dark. Grant pulled Boone to his feet, both crouching low as torches flared behind them. Voices rose, angry, close. Boone's pulse hammered in his throat. "You think we lost 'em? We don't lose men like that," Grant said. "They know this canyon's every crack." He pointed toward a cut in the wall, half hidden by a shadow of rock. "There!" They slipped inside, narrow space smelling of damp stone and smoke. The passage curved tight, then opened to a hollow barely wide enough for two men to stand side by side. Wind moaned through unseen gaps above, cold and wet. Grant checked his pistol, one round left. Boone's chest heaved, face pale in the half-dark. "We should have burned it," he said. "That camp, the pens, everything." "We will," Grant said. "But first we need proof. Proof won't matter if we're bones." Grant looked at him, calm through the breath. "Then we die honest." Boone stared back, then laughed low, humorless. "You always got a sermon ready. Only when the devil's close enough to hear it." Outside, dogs barked, closer now. Grant crouched, scanning the stone. The ground sloped down toward a trickle of black water, runoff from the rains, cutting through the floor like a vein. He touched it, cold as guilt. "This stream leads down canyon," he said. "Might open out below the pens." Boone's eyes narrowed. "Back toward them. That's where the taken are." Boone swore under his breath. "You plan to free 'em with what? One bullet and bad luck." "Luck's never been on our side anyway." They moved along the water's edge, boots silent, the canyon groaning around them like it remembered every death that had ever happened here. The stream widened, reflecting faint torchlight. Grant froze. Voices, two men, maybe three, ahead where the walls dipped low. They crouched behind a boulder. The torchlight flickered, revealing one of Clegg's guards leaning on his rifle, muttering. Another hauled a figure from a wagon, small-bound, face hidden. Boone tensed. "Slave, looks it," Grant whispered. "Or worse." The guard kicked the figure down, laughing. "New stock, don't bruise too much." "Clegg wants the big ones clean." Boone's jaw tightened. His hand found his pistol. Grant caught his wrist. "Not yet." "They're beaten a child, Grant." "Not yet," he said again, steady. Boone trembled, hate burning behind his eyes. Grant waited until one guard wandered toward the stream to piss. Then he moved, silent, fast, cold. The pistol butt cracked bone before the man could turn. Grant caught him, lowered him slow. Boone was already on the second, tackling him into the mud. A short struggle, then silence again. The third man dropped his torch and ran, shouting. Boone raised the gun, fired once, missed. The echo carried. "We're out of time," Boone hissed. Grant cut the child's ropes. A boy, maybe 12, flinched away, shaking, eyes wide with animal terror. "You're safe now," Grant said, voice low. "No one'll hurt you." The boy didn't answer, just looked past him, toward the dead guard. Boone knelt, picked up the dropped torch. "Grant, he's looking at something else." Grant followed the boy's stare. Beyond the rocks, a glow pulsed faint in the black, not firelight. Lanterns, many of them, swinging in rhythm. "They're common," Grant said. "Whole damn camp." Boone's face hardened. "We can't run with him. We don't leave him either." Grant pulled the boy close. "You know the way out." The boy pointed downstream, voice barely a whisper. "River goes under rock, comes out by the south bend." "Good." Grant handed him the torch. "Stay behind me." They moved fast, boots splashing. Behind them the canyon lit up, torches flaring high, shouts echoing wild. Bullets sparked off stone. Boone ducked, firing back until the hammer clicked empty. "Grant, keep moving." The ground sloped steeper, the water turning into a rush. The roar grew loud, too loud, until they reached the edge. A hole in the rock gaped ahead, black as sin, the stream vanishing into it. "Under," Grant said. "No way," Boone gasped. "That's suicide." "So stay in." A shot whined past, clipping his shoulder. He hissed, blood warm on his sleeve. "Now!" The boy jumped first, vanishing into the dark. Boone swore again. "You better know what you're doing." "I don't," Grant said, and dove. The water hit like ice and knives. The tunnel was narrow, slick, endless. For a moment he couldn't tell which way was up. Then light, faint, far ahead. He kicked toward it, lungs burning, eyes stinging. He broke the surface coughing, dragging himself onto slick rock. Boone surfaced a second later, gasping curses. The boy climbed up beside them, shaking but alive. The sound of the river filled the canyon, wild and free, loud enough to drown any chase. They'd come out beneath a cliff, the sky wide and black above. Stars glittered like cracks in the world. Boone fell onto his back, chest heaving. "Next time you plan to drown us, at least warn me first." Grant wiped his face, breathing slow. "You alive?" "Barely." "Then quit complaining." The boy sat staring back at the dark mouth of the tunnel. Grant followed his gaze. Firelight flickered faint in the distance, high up where they'd come from. "They'll find the bodies," Boone said. "They'll know it was us." "They already knew," Grant said. "Now they'll hunt us right." "So what now?" Boone asked. "We ride south, tell the marshals." The boy shook his head. "They won't come. They tried before." "Then we find another way," Grant said. "What's your name?" "Luke." "All right, Luke, you stay close." He stood, scanning the ridge. The canyon stretched out beneath them, carved deep and endless, the fires of Clegg's camp glowing like coals from hell. "You said proof," Boone said. "You think that ledger still exists? If it does, it's in his tent. Then we go back." "Not yet," Grant said. "We'll need help first, more than just grit and bad aim." Boone sighed. "Always another sunrise with you. That's the point." The boy tugged Grant's sleeve. "They'll come at dawn," he said. "They always do. Then we'll be ready." He looked at Boone. "Get the horses. You really think we can outplay 'em?" "I think Mercy's got one more trick left." Boone managed a smile. "You and that Mercy. Keeps me human," Grant said. "You should try it sometime." Boone chuckled low, shaking his head. "Next time we die, I'm picking the place." "Fair enough," Grant said. He looked back one last time at the canyon's mouth, the glow fading into smoke. Somewhere up there chains still clinked. Somewhere up there Clegg still breathed. "You can bury the truth," he murmured, "but you can't kill it." The wind carried the sound downstream, soft and final. Boone spat in the dirt. "Let's ride, preacher." "Not a preacher," Grant said. "Just a man who's tired of graves." They mounted up, the boy between them, and turned south, the night swallowing them whole as the canyon sighed behind, still hungry, still waiting. They rode until the stars blurred into the first gray hint of dawn, horses spent, breath steaming in the chill air. The canyon's echo still followed them, faint and mean, like a wound that wouldn't stop whispering. Grant called halt near a dry wash littered with mesquite and stone. They dismounted slow, every movement tight from the night's beating. The boy slid off Boone's saddle, hit the ground wobbling but stayed upright. His face looked older than his years now, eyes wide, hollow, seeing too much too soon. Grant tore a strip from his coat, pressed it against the wound in his shoulder. Boone crouched beside him, silent, staring at the blood soaking through. "You'll keep," Boone said finally. "Always do." Grant gave a dry laugh. "That's supposed to pass for concern, supposed to pass for truth." Luke knelt nearby, shivering. Grant tossed him a blanket from his saddlebag. "Wrap up, boy. Sun'll bite soon." You said we'd go back, Luke murmured. We will, Grant said, but not bleeding and blind. You know where they keep the ledgers, the boy nodded. Big tent near the rocks. Men go in with papers, come out with guns and gold. Clegg's counting house, Boone said. Figures he keeps proof close to his lies. Grant flexed his arm, grimaced. Then that's where we end this. Boone shook his head. 3 of us against 30. That's not a plan, that's a prayer. Same thing far as I ever saw, Grant said. He reached for his canteen, found it near empty. The river still murmured below, black against the stone. He rinsed the blood off his fingers, watched it drift away. We get 1 shot to cut the head off, he said. If we miss, others pay for it. Boone looked at the boy. He's paid enough already. We all have, Grant said softly. The sun broke low over the ridge, turning the dust to fire. Grant pulled himself to his feet. Boone, take the ridge trail. See what the camp looks like by daylight. Boone frowned. And you? We patch what we can, feed the horses. We'll need 'em running come night. Boone spat into the dirt but mounted anyway. You keep that arm still, old man. Just bring back something worth bleeding for, Grant said. Boone rode off, silhouette cutting across the red rock. The boy watched him go, silent. Grant eased himself down beside a scrub bush, checked his revolver. Only 2 rounds left. You ever shoot, Luke? The boy nodded once. My pa taught me before they took him. Good, Grant said. You might need to again. I don't want to. Nobody does, Grant said. Not the ones worth trusting. The boy looked down. Why'd you come here? You could have left. Because men like Clegg keep breathing if nobody bothers to stop 'em. My pa said that once, the boy whispered. He's dead. That's why we bother, Grant said. Hours passed slow. The canyon wind carried faint sounds, hammer strikes, hooves, the far-off moan of chains. Grant drifted in and out of half-sleep until Boone returned near noon, his horse lathered. He slid off, breath harsh. You were right, he said. Clegg's building more pens, twice what we saw before. How many guards? Too many, but I found one not all that loyal. Boone pulled a thin man forward from the brush, hands tied but eyes sharp. Name's Reese. He worked the lower camp. Says Clegg's got a shipment heading out tomorrow. Where to? Grant asked. Reese licked dry lips. North toward Laramie. Wagons full of folks chained under sacks of grain. Ledger rides with the first team. Grant's jaw tightened. So we catch that wagon. You're mad, Reese said. He'll have 20 men on it. Then we pick 10 off before it moves. You'll die trying. Maybe, Grant said. But you'll die here if you don't help. Reese hesitated, then nodded. There's a side trail near the bluff. Leads to the stables. Less guards. That'll do, Grant said. You got a weapon. Had one. Boone tossed him a spare revolver. Don't aim it at us. Reese nodded, trembling. Grant tied a strip of cloth around his arm tight. We move tonight, he said. Boone frowned. You sure you're up for this? Never was, Grant said. But time don't wait on my health. Dusk came heavy, hot and still. They crept back toward the canyon, the air thick with dust and fear. The fires were burning again, same rhythm as before, men laughing, dogs pacing, the sound of chains like rusted wind chimes. Boone and Grant led their horses through the brush, keeping low. Luke followed, quiet as a shadow. Reese pointed toward the far ridge. Stables just beyond that bend. Wagons there. We hit it fast, Grant said. No shots if we can help it. Boone checked his rifle. And if we can't help it, then make 'em count. They slipped along the slope, rocks loose underfoot. A guard passed near, torchlight sliding across their faces, but he didn't look up. They reached the stable wall, breath held. Horses stirred inside, sensing strangers. Reese whispered, Ledger's in that chest by the main post. Grant nodded. Boone, cover. Luke, stay back. He eased through the gap, boots silent on straw. The chest sat by the post, half buried under a tarp. Grant knelt, pried the latch open. Papers, ledgers, coins, proof and payment, side by side. He grabbed the top ledger and slid it into his coat. Then a noise, a low cough. A man stood in the doorway, gun drawn, eyes narrow. "You ain't supposed to be here," he said. Grant froze. "You're right. Then why are you?" "Because some men ain't supposed to be in cages," Grant said. The man blinked, confusion breaking his aim for a breath. Boone moved. The rifle butt cracked skull. The man dropped without a sound. "Subtle," Grant muttered. "He'll live," Boone said. "Maybe. Then we best not." They moved fast out the way they came, but the horses inside started to panic, whinnying loud. A shout rose outside. Reese cursed. They heard. Torches flared beyond the slope. Grant grabbed Luke's arm. "Run!" Gunfire cracked behind them. Bullets hit rocks, spraying dust. Boone fired back once, cutting a torch clean out of a man's hand. "Go!" They scrambled up the ridge, slipping on loose gravel. The ledge above opened into open air. The canyon spread wide, silver under moonlight. Below, torches swarmed like fireflies gone mad. Grant shoved Luke ahead. "Don't stop!" Reese stumbled, hit his knee. Boone reached back, dragged him up. "Keep moving, damn it!" They crested the ridge, hearts pounding. Grant turned, saw Clegg's men flooding out from the camp like ants from a kicked nest. "They'll track us easy," Boone said. "Then we'll give 'em something to track." Grant pulled the lantern from his saddlebag, struck it against his belt, flame leaping high. He hurled it into the brush. Fire caught fast, spreading like a fuse down the slope. Boone stared. "That'll bring the whole canyon down." "That's the idea," Grant said. They mounted quick, Luke clinging behind. The fire roared, painting the sky red again. Behind them, shouts turned to panic. Grant looked once over his shoulder. "He'll chase us to the ends for this," Boone said. "Good," Grant said. "Makes him easier to find." They rode hard into the open desert, firelight fading behind like a closing helmet. Boone's voice came through the wind. "We got the ledger. We got enough," Grant said. "Now we just have to live long enough to use it." The boy leaned against him, exhausted. "Will they come after us?" "They already are," Grant said. He looked east, where the first light of dawn broke clean over the ridge. "And when they do, we'll be ready." Boone followed his gaze, jaw tight. "This ain't over." "It never is," Grant said. He spurred his horse faster, dust rising behind them like smoke from a sin too fresh to cool. They rode until the sun burned the night off their backs, horses staggering, sweat turning to dust. The canyon was gone now, just a bruise on the horizon, but its echo stayed in the blood, pounding behind every heartbeat. Grant's arm bled through the bandage again, dark and slow. Boone rode beside him, jaw locked, glancing over his shoulder every mile like the past might come galloping out of the dust. The boy was slumped in front of Grant's saddle, half asleep, half dreaming. "We can't keep running," Boone said. "Horses'll drop before noon." "So will we," Grant said. "Keep moving." "You're bleeding out, old man." "Not yet." The wind shifted. A smell came with it, smoke, not from their fire but old, dead, faint as memory. Ahead, a cluster of stone walls broke the horizon. The ruins of a mission, walls half collapsed, cross still standing but burned black. "San Dimas," Boone said. "Abandoned 10 years. Then it's home enough," Grant said. They rode in slow, the hooves echoing through empty archways. The place was still, bones of benches and broken bells. Grant slid off his horse, knees weak, blood crusted at his sleeve. Boone caught him before he fell. "Sit," he said, softer now. "You ain't proving anything standing." Luke jumped down, already fetching canteens, his small face all worry and dirt. Boone tore his shirt for clean cloth, pressed it to the wound. "Bullets deep but missed the bone," he muttered. "Lucky. Luck's running thin," Grant said, voice low. "It's all we got left." Wind rattled what was left of a shutter. The horses drank from a cracked trough. Boone wrapped the wound tight, then leaned back, wiping sweat from his face. "You keep saying we got proof, but who's gonna believe us? Ledger or not, we're 3 runaways with blood on our hands." "There's a marshal in Abilene," Grant said. "Name's Corbin. Honest man, he'll listen. If we live long enough to find him. We will, Grant said, or die trying. Boone laughed without humor. That's your sermon for everything. Only one that matters. Luke sat nearby, staring at the ruined cross, his voice barely a whisper. My ma used to pray in a place like this. Said God don't live in buildings, just in what you do. Grant looked at him quiet. She was right. Boone exhaled hard. Well, I sure hope he don't mind dirt, blood, and bad company. If he did, Grant said, he'd never look our way. They rested until afternoon burned hot, shadows short and sharp. Grant slept sitting up, breathing shallow. Boone walked the ridge, scanning the flats. He saw what he expected, dust trails to the north, faint but steady. They're common, he said when he returned. Half a day behind. Grant nodded slow. Then we make our stand before they do. Stand, Boone said. Against how many? Enough to make it count. Boone looked at him long. You're gonna get us killed, maybe, but if we die running, it's for nothing. If we die standing, maybe it means something. You think the boy's ready for that? Grant looked at Luke. The kid was polishing one of Boone's old pistols, hands trembling but eyes sure. He's already been through more than most men twice his age, Grant said. He'll do what he must. Hell of a thing to teach a child. Hell of a world to raise one in. Boone kicked at the dirt. You ever wonder if maybe the world don't want savin'? Every day, Grant said. Still try anyway. The wind picked up, bringing grit that hissed against the stone. A storm building out west. They set camp in the lee of the wall, lit a small fire, cooked what little jerky remained. Night came red again, clouds swallowing stars. Boone cleaned his rifle slow. When they ride in, he said, we don't stand a chance. We're not standing, Grant said. We're setting a trap. Trap, Ledger's bait. Clegg won't let it go. Boone frowned. And if he figures it's fake, he won't, Grant said. Men like him only see what they want, the thing that keeps them king. You sure you can even raise that arm to shoot? Won't need to. You always say that right before bullets start flying. Then you better shoot straighter. The boy looked up from the fire. If you die, he said, who tells the law? Grant smiled faintly. You will, me. You remember what you saw, what they did. That ledger ain't half as strong as a voice that lived through it. The boy nodded, small chin firm. Boone watched him. He's got more grit than sense. Sounds familiar, Grant said. Boone snorted. Don't start getting sentimental. The night deepened. Coyotes howled somewhere far, maybe hungry, maybe mourning. The storm crept closer, thunder rolling like hooves. Grant stood slow, walked to the edge of the broken wall. Lightning flashed over the flats, showing what he already knew, riders. A dozen at least, torches bright, moving steady. Boone joined him. You could have lied, he said. Told me I was seeing ghosts. You wouldn't have believed it, Boone sighed. Guess we're done running. Not quite, Grant said. We lead 'em off the boy. What? You take Luke and the Ledger east through the pass. I'll draw 'em west. Boone stared at him. That's suicide. Maybe, Grant said, but it's a good kind. You think I'm gonna let you? You're gonna do as I say. Grant's tone left no room for argument. That Ledger gets to Corbin, or all this turns to dust. Boone's jaw worked, eyes bright with anger. He didn't speak. You always have to play martyr. Ain't playin'. You won't even make it past the first ridge. Maybe not. But Clegg'll think I did. He'll chase what he hates most, a man who made him look small. Boone clenched his fists, then cursed and turned away. You're a damn fool. Been worse things, Grant said. The boy rose. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are, Grant said. You're the one who can end this. Don't waste what we bought. But go. His voice cracked like a whip. Luke froze, then nodded. Boone threw the saddlebags over his shoulder, grabbed the Ledger. We move at first light, he muttered. Grant nodded, eyes on the horizon. Good, gives me time to make noise. They slept little. The storm broke before dawn, rain slashing through the ruins, thunder shaking the ground. Grant sat by the fire's dying glow, hat brim low, the Ledger's empty twin laid beside him. a decoy wrapped in oilcloth. He'd written one word on the cover in Clegg's own handwriting, accounts. Lightning flashed again, showing Boone saddling the horses. "You ready?" Boone asked. "Never been. You sure about this? Go before I change my mind." Boone mounted, the boy behind him, ledger safe under his coat. "You die dumb, I'll never forgive you," Boone said. "You live long enough, you'll find something else to hate me for." Boone smiled without joy, then kicked his horse. They vanished into the storm, silhouettes swallowed by the rain. Grant turned back to the cross, the black wood glistening in the lightning. "Reckon you still watchin'," he murmured. "If you are, I hope you brought some mercy with you." The wind answered, cold and wordless. By the time the riders reached San Dimas, the sky had gone full gray. Grant waited inside the ruins, lantern low, pistol on his knee. The sound of hooves grew close, Clegg's voice cutting through, slick and sharp. "I know you're here, preacher," he called. "Ledger for your life," Grant smiled faintly. "Come and take it." The door blew open. Rain swept in. Shadows crossed the threshold. Grant raised the pistol, slow and steady, lightning flashing across his face. "Welcome to church," he whispered. Thunder rolled like judgment, and the storm swallowed everything. The rain came down in sheets, hammering San Dimas till it sounded like the whole sky wanted to bury the place again. Grant sat by the last ember of the fire, pistol across his knees, lantern guttering. He could hear them coming before he saw them, hooves slapping mud, iron clinking, men shouting through thunder. Clegg's voice cut through it all, slick as snake oil. "Preacher," he called, "come out and save yourself a sermon." "I'll make it quick." Grant rose slow, pain pulling every breath. His shoulder burned, his side throbbed. The mission doorway gaped black before him, the rain turning the ash floor to paste. He spoke low, to nobody but the wind. "You took enough already, Clegg. Time to settle your tithe." A shape appeared through the storm, Clegg on horseback, hat low, lantern swinging from his hand like a halo gone wrong. "Where's my ledger?" he barked. "You got one chance to hand it back." Grant stepped out into the rain, lantern light painting his face in gold and shadow. "You already had your chance," he said. The first shot came from the ridge, one of Clegg's men. It hit the mission wall, spraying stone. Grant fired once clean, dropped him. Then the world broke loose. Gunfire flared from every side, the ruins lighting up with muzzle flashes and lightning both. Grant moved through it like a man half dead already, calm, methodical, the rhythm of survival too old to forget. He counted his last shots and made each one count, until silence crept back in between thunder. 3 bodies lay in the mud. Clegg dismounted slow, pistol drawn, rain slicking his coat to his skin. "Always figured you for a fool, Grant," he said. "Preacher turned killer, same as the rest." "Difference is," Grant said, "I remember which side of the grave I'm standin' on." "Ledger ain't worth your life," Clegg sneered. "It's worth 100 others," Grant said. "That ledger's gone, east by now. You'll never see it again." Clegg's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Then I'll just take yours instead." He raised the gun. Grant fired first. Both shots cracked at once. The world went white with lightning. When it cleared, Clegg was down on one knee, clutching his chest. Grant dropped to one elbow, blood pouring from his side. They stared at each other through the rain, 2 men with too many ghosts between them. "Ain't about law," Clegg gasped. "Ain't about mercy either. It's just who's left breathin'." "Maybe," Grant said, "but breathin' ain't the same as livin'." He thumbed back his hammer, but his strength was gone. The pistol sagged. Clegg saw it and smiled wide, cruel. "Looks like you're out of sermons, preacher." "One left," Grant whispered. Lightning struck the old cross on the roof, splintering it. The beam crashed down between them, sparks flying. Clegg stumbled back, gun flying from his hand. Grant grabbed the fallen lantern, hurled it into the puddle where the oil spilled wide. Fire leapt high, hungry. "You burned the world, Clegg," Grant said through the smoke. "Now feel it burn back." Clegg screamed, half rage, half terror, as the fire caught the wood around him. Grant staggered out through the door, the storm swallowing him, leaving the flames behind. He made it to the outer wall, dropped hard, breathing shallow, the rain washing blood from his coat. He could see them out there, Boone and Luke, two shadows disappearing east just as planned. He smiled once, tired. "Ride fast," he murmured. Then the night took him. Boone's horse fought the wind all the way up the pass. Lightning flashed, showing the trail half flooded, rocks loose underfoot. Luke clung tight, teeth clenched, face streaked with rain. "He'll make it," Boone said, though his voice cracked when he did. "Grant's too damn stubborn to die easy." The boy said nothing, just held tighter. Behind them, fire painted the horizon, a bloom of orange in the storm's throat. Boone didn't look back again. By dawn they hit the flats, endless mud and gray sky. The horses stumbled but kept moving, lungs working like bellows. "Abeline's still half a day," Boone muttered. "Think we lost 'em?" "No," Luke said. Boone almost smiled. "Smart kid." Then he heard it, the sound he feared most, hooves, fast, close. He turned in the saddle, saw 3 riders cutting across the plain, guns flashing. "Down!" Boone shouted. A bullet hissed past his ear, tore a hole in his hat. He kicked his horse hard, cutting east. The boy ducked low. "You shoot?" Boone asked. "A little," Luke yelled. "Then now's the time for practice." The boy twisted, aimed, fired once. The nearest rider yelped, horse stumbling. "Not bad," Boone barked. They hit a dry gulch, took it fast, vanished beneath the rim. Boone dismounted, pulled the boy with him. "Hide the ledger," he said. "If they find me, you run." "No, you do as I say, Luke." The boy hesitated, then stuffed the wrapped ledger under a flat rock. "If I die," Boone said, "you get that to Marshal Corbin." "Don't matter how." The boy nodded, eyes bright with fear and fire. "You talk like him," he said. "Guess I spent too long listening," Boone said, loading his rifle. The riders hit the edge above, firing down. Boone rolled to cover, returned shot for shot. Thunder cracked overhead, echoing each gun's report. One man fell, another's horse bolted. The last turned, retreating through the rain. Boone let him go, breathing hard. He wiped the mud off his face, looked at the boy. "We ain't dead yet," he said. "Grant was right, Mercy's got tricks left." They rode again by sunrise. The storm had broken, leaving the world scrubbed raw. The smell of rain and smoke hung over the plain. When the first town came into view, just a few shacks, a water tower and a telegraph line, Boone felt something he hadn't in years, hope with a limp. They reached the marshal's office by mid-morning. The man behind the desk looked up, gray hair, badge polished, eyes that had seen worse. "Name's Corbin," he said. "What's your trouble?" Boone dropped the ledger on the desk, still wrapped in oilcloth. "This here's proof of Clegg's trade, names, roots, every sin he sold." Corbin raised a brow. "And you, just the man who promised to deliver it." Luke stepped forward. "He died for it," he said. Corbin looked between them, understanding dawning slow. He opened the ledger, scanned a few lines, jaw tightening. "This'll do," he said. "You've done a good thing." Boone nodded once, hat low. "We're done with good things for a while." "You'll stay," Corbin said. "Testify?" Boone shook his head. "Got a grave to find first." Luke looked up. "His, yeah," Boone said. "His." They left the town at dusk, just the two of them, the sky pink and wide. The storm had moved east, leaving behind a world too quiet. Boone rode slow, hat low. The boy beside him said nothing for a long while. Then softly, "You think he's watchin'?" Boone didn't answer at first. Then, "If he ain't, I reckon he's finally restin'." They rode until they reached the edge of the desert again. The canyon yawned below, smoke still curling from its scars. Boone dismounted, found a stone, and carved Grant's name with his knife. "He didn't want no marker," he said, "but I figure truth deserves one." Luke stood beside him, silent, hat in his hands. Wind rose gentle, lifting dust across the ridge. Somewhere far off, a church bell rang faint, hollow, but real. Boone looked east again. Time to ride, boy. World's got other canyons need cleanin'. Luke smiled small, brave. He'd like that, Boone nodded. Yeah, he would. They mounted, turned toward the rising light. The last of the fire behind them faded into gold. Boone's voice came soft, almost prayer. Some chains don't break easy, some never do. But long as someone keeps ridden, maybe that's enough. The horses moved out slow, dust curling behind like breath in cold air, and the canyon lay quiet at last, truth buried but not forgotten. You've been riding with old Western stories. If the tale hit your mark, give it a like, drop a comment about your favorite part, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next trail we ride. Don't forget, hit that subscribe so you're always in the saddle, and you'll always be ready when the next story rides in.